Greetings everyone and welcome back to 365 Days of Prog. Today I'm without makeup and I look like a mess because we're gonna review Detachment in all caps by Barock Project.
Hi, my name's Naomi. I'm an avid progressive rock fan, but I'm a long ways from knowing all the prog albums out there. But this year, I'm gonna give it a try. This is 365 Days of Prog.
So yeah, this album, it's called Detachment, and that's probably how I'm gonna call it for the rest of this video because it's really in all caps and I have to emphasize that. But further than that, here are some of my favorite bits from this album.
To see you, I was happy to see you. One day you'll dare look back and wonder why. Just a page in the past, and now it seems that all we had was only dust.
Possibly be any dumber. You go and do something like this.
So this is Detachment. No, I did it wrong. Okay, I'm gonna do it again. So this is Detachment, and it's by Barock Project, and it came out in 2017. Now this album is considered under the subgenre of neo-prog. So Barock Project are an Italian prog band, well, a new one, and they consist of 4 talented members, and in this specific album they are joined by 3 other guest members on here, which makes it a total of 7 players. Now, one thing you should know about Barock Project and their initiative is basically the fact that they assembled in order to create music which lingers and hinders to the music of the past. So the best time of prog, which was the 70s, they want to create that sound. They want to create prog which is yet again relevant and that people would like and enjoy in nowadays society. And listening to Detachment by Barock Project, I really got this sense of nostalgia from the music, and I saw their effort in creating something which really feels like the good old days of prog. And I will also say this before I actually get into the review part itself. This album, it starts off strong with a great half as the A side, but when it comes to the B side of this album, it really kind of lingers and it doesn't really go anywhere, and I would say it's the worst side. But when it comes to the good side of this album, it really has it all. It has additions of orchestral instruments which really feel and make the music feel like it has this Renaissance inspirations put into it. The 2 tracks of One Day and 20 Years both start off with a beautiful acoustic guitar solo, or is it a Spanish guitar? I'm not entirely sure, but both of them sound exactly like how you'd expect Steve Howe to play and akin to songs he made like The Clap or Mood for a Day. And whenever a keyboard solo came up, I started really, I felt my blood pressure going up because I knew it was going to be great because the keyboardist on here does a fantastic job at what he plays. Now, when it comes to my favorite song on here, it was actually quite a hard pick and I didn't know which one to choose. I thought of choosing Happy to See You, and then I thought of choosing One Day, but at the end I went with the track called Broken. Now that track specifically, I think I chose it just because it really sounds like the amalgamation of ELP, Genesis, Gentle Giant and Renaissance all in one song. It's like the song we all wanted and we actually got it on here, which is amazing. Now I'm not saying that it's a perfect track, but it does really feel like something that I want to listen to, and maybe not all the time, but I did have a fantastic time hearing it for the first time. But despite all my kind words towards this album, I still have some criticism towards it, and it mainly comes about the vocals. So firstly, mostly every lead vocal track has this echo laid on it, and I think it is made to be more ethereal in some way, but I just found it unnecessary. I don't think it's good when it came up on it. I think that a raw sound of the lead vocals would have sounded a lot more better. And secondly, I would have much preferred it if they sang in their native tongue of Italian. I think it would have added a lot to the music. I think the accentation would have been, well, acceptable because it's in their native tongue. And I think as well that the music would have flown better if they sang in Italian. You know, just Italian prog has this really odd sense of always being so, you know, mystical and wonderful in every single way, because, you know, the notes, the words, they just roll on your tongue, and I love it very much. And I think that could have done a lot for this album. And yeah, it's a shame. I wish this album would have just not went to the direction of pop rock in the latter half, but unfortunately it did, and if it stayed as it started, I would have said that this album would have been almost near perfection, so oh well. So when it comes to the cover, I would like to present to you my thoughts about it, but instead of talking to you like I'm talking right now, very naturally, very, you know, emotionally, I'm actually gonna talk in the way that this cover makes me feel. I'm gonna talk as bland as possible. So this is basic neo-prog cover. It doesn't really make me feel anything, and I do not know why some bands just like to make use of a female model as in this cover. It feels like there's nothing personal about it. This is what it makes me feel. Like, you know, this album cover could have just been an excerpt out of, let's say, a modeling portfolio and nothing more than that. And it doesn't feel like there's anything that is Baroque project in this cover. And having your name written down on it doesn't mean it feels and it is you. And honestly, if I ever made an album myself, and I would not make an album myself because I don't really play anything and I don't know anything about music and I'm not talented at all, but let's say I did make an album, I would never make a cover like this as my album cover, because in some way I see covers as a way of the artist respecting their own art and actually making something flattering to present their music with. And this kind of cover just doesn't nail that specific coffin. I don't know, I don't like it. I don't think I'd ever want to represent my own music with a person that is not like related to myself, and in this way, which is honestly not meaningful. I have a lot of grudge towards this cover. I just think it's pretty lazy, and there could have been a lot more done to it that would have made it a lot more personal. So when it comes to the rating of this album, this one receives a 7 out of 10. Now, I'd probably come back to this album, but only for the first half of it, and that first half in itself would have been a total 9 out of 10, but I have to look at this album as a whole, and that's what I'm doing, so that's the rating it's getting. But that's about it, guys. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and stay tuned for tomorrow because we're going to be listening to If Only for a Moment by the band Blossom Toes. That's going to be something very interesting, yet another proto-prog band. And yeah, that's about it, guys. Have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you all tomorrow. Bye, guys.